Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter, and this is Paint and Sip at Home. Hi there, I'm Michelle the Painter. Today I'm going to be painting Hummingbird Harmony, and I'm sipping on some hibiscus tea. And if you enjoy this process, I do hope that you like and subscribe to my channel, and that you also check out my Patreon page where you'll find additional painting perks such as this one. So this painting that I did today is inspired by a photo that was submitted by one of my Patreon members by the name of Bob Carter. So I have a benefit for my Patreon members whereby every now and again I'll put out a call for photos. They'll submit them. I select some of them, turn them into YouTube tutorials, and as a thank you, I will send the original painting off to whoever submitted the photo. So I hope Bob likes his rendition of his photo. So if you're interested in learning how you too could submit your photos to me, or more about the Patreon membership program, because there's a lot of other benefits that you get to use that will help to increase your artistic and your painting skills, I have all of that information down below in the video description. So now it's time to let's get painting and let's get sipping. All right, so for my materials today, I'm going to be using a stretched and primed 16 by 20 inch canvas. If you're painting along, you can certainly switch up the size, but that's what I'll be using. I'm going to be using acrylic paint today. My colors are titanium white, burnt umber, which I like to call brown, green oxide, magenta, deep yellow, ultramarine blue, and Mars black. And of course you can switch up the colors, but that's what I will be using. For my tools today, I have a white piece of chalk that I'm going to be using for some drawing. And then I have 3 brushes from my personal brush line, which is Michelle the Painter brushes. I have a 3/4 inch wide flat bristle brush. I have a number 6 round synthetic brush, and I have a number 2 round synthetic brush. And I may refer to these as small, medium, and large throughout the painting process, or I'll just call them out by their given name. And of course you can switch those up if you'd like to. If you're painting along with me, you might want to have some kind of cup of water for washing your brushes, as well as some kind of towel for drying your brushes. Ooh, my towel's got some paint on it already. Some kind of towel for drying your brushes. And down below this video, in the video description, I will provide you with a few additional resources that can help you throughout your painting process. One of them is a link to my shop where you could purchase the same exact paint kit that I'm using. So it would be the same type and size of the canvas to the same type of paints and brushes and all the good stuff in between. You can also purchase from my shop things individually, like the brushes from my brush line. So that's it. There's also a link where you can download a free image of the final painting. So you can print that and use it as visual reference as you go through the painting process. And there's also written step-by-step instructions down there for you as well. And that's all we're going to need today. All right, so what we're going to do for the first step is paint a base coat onto the canvas. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush to paint, but I'm going to use my number 2 round to demonstrate how to pre-mix 2 custom colors. The colors I'm going to use in this step are white, brown, green, magenta, yellow, and black. And I'm going to pre-mix myself a peach color and I'm going to call it pink. I'm debating whether to call it lavender or pink. Actually, let me call it lavender. I'm going to call it lavender, not pink. So I have pre-mixed these colors on my palette here, so you can see where I'm headed. These are the 2 here. So this one right here is what I'm going to refer to as peach. How I achieved this is yellow, magenta, probably about equal parts of both, and a touch of white. So just a little bit of white, and then just spin those 2 or those 3 colors around. Yours might end up a little bit pinkier than mine. It might end up a little bit more yellow than mine. I definitely want to have the magenta represented in it. So when it's on my canvas, it's going to look more of like a peach tone as opposed to an orange tone. So that's where I'm just adding a little bit more magenta into it, because I know how strong that yellow can go. And when I get it on my canvas, if I decide I want to add a little more magenta so it reads more as peach as opposed to orange, I certainly can do that. So that's where I'm headed with that. Then I'm going to create my lavender. So I'm calling this lavender because I foresee myself probably wanting to make a pink later with the magenta and white. But this right here is a combination of magenta, white, quite a bit of white, and a touch of black. So what I'm in essence doing is I'm making it lighter than my magenta, and I'm adding gray to it, which is my black and my white. So I'm desaturating and lightening it up. So that's too dark. I definitely need more white than that. And this is going to act as a wonderful base coat for a lot of the flowers in this picture are out of focus, and they're just really soft pastel-y colors. So there's a bunch of them that are represented with this kind of lavendery, pinkish kind of tone. We're going to have light pinks and light blues and stuff as we go through the process, so this will be a great place to start. So then I'm going to put my mixing tool away. As I apply my paint, I'm going to be applying it in a way that is going to be the start to my out of focus field of flowers. So I am using a photo as my inspiration today, and in the photo there's a big green area up and through here, there's a big peach area here, there's some peach down below, and a lot of pink in the middle, or this lavendery color in the middle, and a little bit of kind of a combination of the peach and the lavender and even a little bit of brown up and through here. So I'm going to be using this color pattern with these custom colors that I made in order to start this process of my out of focus background. So I'm going to start with the peach because I see a lot of it, a lot of distinct areas in the photograph. So I'm going to start with just applying my peach color up in this top left hand corner. This comes about, if this is my halfway up or down, this kind of comes in through here, and it's just kind of a big, almost takes up a quarter of my canvas. I'm not concerned about my brush strokes being evident right now. I'm going to be able to see streaking with that brush stroke on top of this white canvas. Not concerned about that at this point. I see some of this peach down in through here, so I'm just going to kind of take, right now I'm just looking for some kind of color pattern. I see some here, but it looks like there might be a little bit lighter version, so I can pick up a touch of white as well as I'm going through an area. So I just picked up my peach plus a little bit of white and just kind of getting this on in through here. I see some of this peach up in this top right hand corner. I'm just going to release whatever is on my brush right now so this had a little bit of the white in it, which is totally fine. Just gives me a little bit different of a color. So that's pretty good for where I see the peach tones. Then I see some greenish tones in through here. So I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm just going to pick up some green on my brush, so the green oxide, and I can even kind of get it to blend along the edges of this spot in through here. And then I just kind of keep picking up some of my green. I see that the green comes a little bit past my halfway point, so I'm just going to kind of bring that over in through here. And then this center area is going to be a lot of that lavender tone. So as I come over in through here, I'm seeing that it kind of transitions into the lavender in through here. So that's what I'm going to pick up next. Without washing my brush, I'm just picking up that lavender. So I can get it to start to intermingle with those other tones just by not washing my brush. So I'm going to not wash my brush and put this lavender tone up in through here. And I can even just kind of start blending it in with this peachy tone. Again, because I didn't wash my brush, I just have these colors really just almost merging together with one another on the canvas. And then in through here, I feel like I'm probably going to be mostly just this lavender color in the remaining part of the canvas. So if you are following along and doing your color pattern and it's not exactly in the same, you know, your peach area is larger or this big huge lavender area in the middle is way smaller than mine, it's okay, because this is all going to be just an out of focus area in the background. This part in through here is even going to be like an out of focus flowery type of thing that's going to have these offshoots going, you know, into the green and stuff. So just know that yours does not have to be exactly as mine. This is just a way to get a nice out of focus background started. It is the beginning stages, so as you're going through this process, it's not going to look awesome. It's just part of laying down the foundation and allowing our brains to kind of digest where we want things to go, especially on something like this that is so carefree in the background with the out of focus nature of it. So this really just kind of helps me start planning out all of the different layers and stuff that I want to have. And it also helps me to build the painting in a more digestible way, because there are so many kind of steps to the depth of this this photograph that I'm using. This really just helps me take it off in little, or start it in just little small steps that help me to be able to build it in an easier way. So that's all I'm going to do for my first step. I don't need to do any more blending to it than this. I am going to be using this same brush for, oh, actually, I didn't use brown yet. I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown. I'm seeing I wanted to put brown up in this top right-hand corner, so I just picked up some brown. So brown's going on up in this corner. I knew that there was a place I wanted to use it, so there we go. That goes up there and maybe a little bit over in through here. I knew that there was a couple of spots that needed, and I wanted this brown in through here, and then there's over in through here too. So somewhere about halfway, maybe just a little bit lower than that. I didn't wash my brush again. Just wanted to get these a couple of these darker tones in through here, the warmer tones that I'm seeing in the photo. There we go. Now that's all I'm going to do for my background. I am going to use this same brush for the next step, so you can just wash it and dry it and get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish the out of focus background. I'm going to be using my large bristle brush to paint. The colors I'm going to use are peach, lavender, white, yellow, green, brown, blue, and magenta. So everything but black, I think. So what I'm going to do is, in essence, I'm doing a very similar color pattern to what I did the first time, only this time I'm going to enhance it or add more detail to it, as well as soften it some more. So for instance, this area in the photograph is a little bit lighter in through here, gets a little bit darker, and then it transitions out into like a dark green color in through here. So that's where I'm headed with this particular stage. I'm going to be using more of a circular type of brush stroke just to get some nice soft gradations. I do see some like a lighter area almost in the center of the canvas in through here. I see this is going to be, there's out of focus flowers everywhere. So there's an out of focus flower here that's got some lightness here and some darker magenta around the edges. So I'm just going to be tweaking it as I go through the process. I am going to most likely start with my darker tones and work my way to the lighter tones, just so I can, so I don't have to switch colors on my brush too often. So I see that there's a really dark green area in through here. So I'm going to pick up some green oxide with brown on my brush at the same time. And I'm going to start applying it in this area in through here. And you'll be able to very easily detect as you go through this second layer on your canvas that it's going to provide a better coat on top of the existing canvas. So you'll most likely not be able to see through your paint anymore. You'll have a better coverage. I'm just using a circular brush stroke, but you might find as you go through the process that you want it to be even softer, and you might even want to do a third layer on it. I'm going to find any more green areas. I think there's actually a couple little green spots down in through here. So I'm just going to kind of allow myself to do just some really out of focus stuff down there. I'm going to pick up a little bit more brown on my brush to exit out over on this side in through here. While I'm doing this stage, along the edges of each section, I am going to keep them softer. Like, I'm not going to have a real firm linear line. So I will, wherever I do a section of color, I'll kind of blend it out along those edges so it's easy to transition into the next color, whatever that color would be. So this looks good for here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow, green, and a teeny tiny touch of white. So I have yellow, green, and a teeny tiny touch of white on my brush to transition to the right of this section. So I'm seeing like a light greenish tone in through here. So I'm using those three colors on my brush to help me create this tone on my canvas. And I can get it to, if I need more green to go into that darker section, just pick up a little bit of green oxide and just brush them in this circular motion on top of each other, and that'll give me a good enough blend. I'm not going for a hyper realistic image here. I'm just looking for something that is nice and representational to what I see in the picture. I do see a little bit of a greenish yellow spot down in through here, so just pop a little there. That looks good to me. I'm going to now pick up more yellow and white on my brush, so yellow with a touch of white on my brush to transition to the left over here. This is going to transition into that peach color, but I do see it almost starts a little green before it goes into the peach, so something like this. And then I don't want to dirty up my peach too much over here. So if you have a lot of paint on your brush right now, you could certainly wash your brush. But if you have a very little bit of paint on your brush, just give it a good squeeze on your paper towel and then pick up the peach color. So this way you'll still have a little bit of that color from the previous section on your brush in order to blend, but you won't muddy up that peach color too much. And then I just kind of keep picking up a little bit of that peach. And now that I'm going towards the center of this section, I'm just going to wipe my brush off, and I'm going to pick up a touch of white. So this section in the picture to me looks like it's a little bit lighter. So I just picked up a touch of white to create this lighter section in through here. And again, I'm not looking for it to be exactly one for one on the photo, but if I want to do a representational display of what I'm seeing in the photo, I am going to try and get these color variations. I just am wiping my brush off so I can blend this out just a little bit more. There we go. And then I do have that white and peach on my brush, and down in through here I see a little bit of the white and the peach, almost like a little puck marky kind of out of focus stuff down in through here. I don't even really know what it is, but I'm just going to try and emulate what appears to be the texture and the color. I'm going to pick up more peach and maybe a touch of brown because it looks like it goes a little bit darker down in through here. So again, just emulating some texture. Down in through here, I see that peach and a little bit of white again. So something like this. So these are just some kind of out of focus flowers down in the background. So I'm just following the color pattern. I've just picked up a tiny dot of brown to go right in through here. That looks good. A little bit more brown to go in through here. And then I see some more darker tone up. So I think I've hit my peach stuff, even though I said I was going to go dark to light, but I did go dark to light, but just from the yellow or the green into the peach. So I feel like I want to pick up some more brown right now and put a little bit more up in this top right hand corner. And I'm going to transition out to the peach in a second, but before I go into the peach, I'm picking up some more brown. Put some in through here, just a second layer of this brown, and I see that it's kind of coming up here a little bit. Again, just allowing myself the liberty to just kind of follow the color pattern that I'm seeing in the photo, but not concerned that I have everything exactly one for one, because this is all out of focus. So you can see I'm really just allowing myself to have these soft edges to it. I'm going to pick up more of the peach up in through here, but not a lot, just a little tiny touch on my brush, because it feels like it's going to transition into that lavender really fast. So I'm just going to kind of peach it just along the edge of this brown. And again, hardly any paint on my brush. And now I'm picking up some of my lavender. So lavender's going on my brush right now, on my dirty brush. So again, I'm allowing myself to use the remnants on my brush in order to transition in and out of these gradients. I do this all the time because it's an easier process for me than trying to figure out what this color is going to be. I know from here to here, if I blend these two colors, I'm going to get a nice gradient in the middle and a nice easy way to, or believable way to transition out of one color into the next. So I think that's good for my browns. I think I want a little bit more up in through here. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of yellow on my brush. I feel as though this needs to be just kind of smoothed out just a little bit. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my brush and I'm going to start working into these lavenders. So when I'm in the lavender, I'm seeing that there's a big light section in through here. And I'm also detecting a little bit of almost like a light blue color. So I'm going to be using white with my lavender kind of in through here. I'm seeing a little bit of light blue. There's the foreground flower that the hummingbird is coming into. I kind of want to get some of that light blue as the background in right now, because that's a big portion in this area. There's also a little bit of kind of light blue in through here. And then there's a light section in through here and a deep magenta section in through here, magenta up in through here. So I'm gonna, I think I kind of want to go in for those light spots on these two areas. I still need to hit this area up and through here to transfer these two guys, but I'm also seeing a little bit of that light blue up and through here too. So I'm going to start with white and my lavender to get, if I find the center of my canvas, I feel that this is kind of the lightest area in through here. So this is white plus a little bit of my lavender. Then I'm going to pick up a touch of my magenta on my dirty brush and transition out of this light section that I just created. I can even pull up and cross over into some of this green, just these really faint kind of out of focus tips. We'll most likely do a little bit more to these edges in through here, but right now I'm just looking for that out of focus background to be finished, and then we can finesse any little additional details later. So that looks nice to me for that bright spot. I do have another bright spot down here, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of white on my dirty brush right next to this little green spot, some white in through here. And then I'm picking up some magenta plus a touch of white to transition out of this. And this is where there's going to be a nice kind of illusion of a flower in through here. So this is just my magenta on my dirty brush with a little bit of white. You can even pull it over these dark sections. It's out of focus, so I'm not doing anything fancy with it. Just kind of pulling these edges out like that. And now I'm gonna, I need to come up into here to finish this section before I start getting too much blue on my brush. So I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of my lavender right now on my dirty brush to transition out of here, and I gotta come into here somehow. So lavender, just to cross over in through here. And now I feel I can pick up a touch of my lavender, teeny tiny touch, like just a dot of ultramarine blue and a dot of white on my brush. So again, just teeny tiny dots, and I can put in this almost like a light blue color in through here. And just allow it to just blend right over and in conjunction with that green. Something like this. And then in through here, I think I can get away with just the same color combination, lavender, plus a teeny tiny touch of blue and a teeny tiny touch of white. And again, I can't stress enough, if you look at the tip of my brush, the lavender and then just 2 dots of blue and white. I think I can put this kind of in through here and then just transition it out with the remnants on my brush over into this area over here. And you can always just add a little tiny bit more to your brush, or if you're comfortable enough, you could certainly add a tiny bit of liquid medium and or water to your brush. The only thing with water that I caution you about in this kind of stage is because we're layering this so quickly one on top of the other, if you start to use a lot of water on your brush, you may end up lifting the paint right off of the canvas. So just caution, you know, if you haven't done it before. As I come in through here, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of my lavender, just making sure I've got a nice layer on top of that, and a little bit more lavender in through here. It's looking great. And I just kind of keep softening these tones in through here. I'm going to put a little bit of that lavender, a tiny touch of blue, and a tiny touch of white. And again, just making sure I just have a tiny touch on my brush. You could even pre-mix yourself like a, almost like a periwinkle kind of color if you wanted to. But I love getting the different tones on my canvas. That's why I'm doing it this way. In through here is a bunch of that bluish tone. So I'm going to put a little bit more blue, a little bit more white, and my lavender. And this is going to be where that, see, I can even go a little bit more bold right now with a little bit more blue and white in through here. This is going to be the base of one of the big flower that the bird is drinking out of. So I'm seeing this bluish tone in through here as a dominant kind of backdrop color. So that's why I am trying to incorporate it in this background right now, because I know that it's going to take up a lot of that space. And then over here on the left hand side, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of my lavender, and I think a touch of brown as well. So lavender and just a teeny touch of brown are on my brush, just to kind of give me almost a little deeper tone going on in through here. And then I think I need a touch more brown, maybe a little tiny touch of green right in through here. So on this step, I hit the entire canvas a second time. Using this circular type of brush stroke. I didn't worry about anything really being extra perfect. Actually, I think I need to hit right here too. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my magenta and a touch of white. I didn't worry about anything being super duper perfect. I just really wanted to get the essence of where those color patterns were, allowing myself to really be pretty carefree, because I know that this is just the out of focus background. My main star of the show is going to be my hummingbird. You could certainly do another layer on top of this if you want to. I'm going to actually wash my brush. I want to soften this a little bit. But we're going to be using, for the next step, I feel like I'd like to use probably my drawing utensil for the next step. So once you've got this done, fiddle with it as much as you feel would benefit you. And you can put this brush away, take out something to draw with, and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to draw the outline for the bird. I'm going to be using a white piece of chalk. You can certainly use any drawing utensil that's comfortable to you. I do recommend that your canvas is dry before you start the step because it's always easier to draw on a dry canvas than it is to draw on a wet canvas. So I'm going to guide you through a series of markers. We're going to create some very basic shapes, and by the time we're done, we'll have something that hopefully resembles a bird going in for its beak in a flower. Perhaps a hummingbird if you're lucky. So I like to, when I'm teaching birds, a lot of times I like to guide you into two really basic shapes that can usually make any bird imaginable: a circle for the head and an egg type of a shape for the body, with the pointy part of the egg going towards the tail. And depending on the size and the distance away from each other, that will help to dictate what type of bird you're creating. So I'm going to guide you to find yourself the center of your canvas, top to bottom, left to right. So for me, that's right about here. I've already marked mine so I don't lose my spot. So right there is about the center of my canvas. Then what I'm going to do from there, I'm going to first guide you into the circle. From here, I'm going to go down about 1/2 inch and over to the left about 1 inch. This is going to be the bottom of my circle, which is going to represent my head shape, or the beginning of my head. I'm going to go from here, I'm going to go up about 2 1/4 inches. So somewhere in this vicinity is going to give me the top of my circle. Then what I can do, if you need to measure your circle, what you can do is just kind of find yourself the center point of these two lines, and then you can take anything as a measuring tool and you can kind of measure from the center to one of your marks, and then you can make subsequent marks going around that center point at the same distance, and then you've got yourself a whole bunch of marks that you can connect and give yourself a circular type of shape. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, just something that will help to guide us through our drawing process. So that's going to be my first shape. The second shape I'm going to do is the shape of an egg or a teardrop. And my the top or the wide part of the egg is going to be in here, and the pointy part is going to be down in through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find myself about the center of the right side of the circle and go to the right of that about 1 inch, somewhere in through here. And then I'm going to come down from my center of my circle. Let me just kind of give you a measurement here, about 1 inch. And then over to the right about, almost about from the center, you're going to be a little bit past your halfway point or your quarter way point. So if this is halfway and this is maybe a quarter way, you're a little to the right of that. So from the distance from here to here is about 4.5 inches from this marker to this marker. Oops. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find myself about 1/3 of the way between this marker and this marker. So it's somewhere around in through here. And I'm going to make myself 2 markers on the left and the right side of that. That will give me about the distance of about 2.5 to 3 inches. So maybe 2 3/4 inches is the distance of here to here. So this is going to give me my width of my shape, and this will give me my length. So now I can connect them. From here to here to here, I'm going to connect this with just a curved line like this. Oops, something like that. Made that a little wide. And then from here, these 2 points I'll connect to here with this type of a shape. So this is going to give me kind of like a teardrop / egg type of a shape. So now I just need to connect my head to my body. So I'm going to take from the top of my egg shape, and I'm going to come up just a little bit and then almost kind of flatline this going into this circle and then bring it over here. On the underside of this neck and through here, this circle, I'm going to take this and kind of bring it to the right just a little bit up and then drop it down into this circle and through here. I'm going to put a beak on now. And so my beak is going to come in this direction. So let me just kind of see about how long my beak is so I can give you a good assessment. Oh, it's about the width of my, that's how I fancy measure things. It's about the width of my egg shape. So whatever the width of your egg shape is, that's about as long as the beak is going to come off of the circle, and I've got it at an angle. So about that length, give myself a little tiny marker for the tip of my beak, and I'm going to take from the bottom of my circle, and I'm going to give a very continuous just kind of arc right into that little beak, and it's a very long, narrow beak. On the top side, I want to kind of drop this down just a little bit and bring it in and then come out for the beak. The beak is long and kind of a little curved. So I'm going to start over here, bring it out just a smudge, drop it down just a little bit, and then just kind of bring it out and taper it into that point of that beak, something like that. So the back tail is what I'm going to do next. So this is going to come out from this area in through here, and it's going to come out from I think I kind of made this a little high. It's kind of just in through here. This is all going to be like little feathers in through there. So it's going to come out somewhere in this area in through here. It's almost, let's see, directly across and maybe down just a little bit is the tip. I've got my tip maybe about 1.5 inches from the edge of my canvas, somewhere in here. So the top side, I can just kind of give myself a long, like little mark like that. And then the bottom side is just going to be just these little kind of almost curved marks coming in. So something like that. Now I'm going to do my wings. So I have one wing on my side, on the viewer side, and then one wing on the far side. The far side one in this photo reference looks to be longer than the one that's on our side. And I'm assuming that's because the wing on our side is towards us. So if I have a length of something that's like this, and then I bring it towards the viewer, it will then appear to be shorter. So this is just a point of view of this particular wing that's going to make it look a little bit shorter, but in all actuality, it's just the angle and proportion stuff. So the wing from our side, I'm going to take it from right about in through here and right about in through here. I'm going to come out probably in a diagonal way to somewhere in through here. So if I go about a little bit past the nub of my egg to the right and maybe right about here and straight up, I'm probably about maybe 2.5 to 3 inches away from the edge of my canvas and maybe about 1/4 of the way down my canvas. And then I can take this and connect it to here with just kind of a little arc at the top, and then just kind of bring it, slide it into that marker in through there. And then the bottom side of it is going to be pretty similar. You can ripple it a little bit if you want, but we can also do that during the painting process. And then the other wing, I'm going to come down from here about halfway between my wing and where my tail starts, so somewhere in this vicinity. And the tip of this is really close to the edge of my canvas, so somewhere in through here. It's going to be a little higher than this one and over to the edge of my canvas, and it's going to disappear behind the tip of this one. So I can just take from here to here, give myself a little arcing curved line like that, and then I can just connect here to here with just a bunch of these little kind of arcing type of marks like this. You don't even really need to do those at this point, but that will get you going. And that's all I'm going to be doing for my outline. You can certainly make any little adjustments that you want. I'm going to be using my number 6 round brush for the next step, so you can just get it out and get ready. Alright, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the base coat for our bird. I'm going to be using my number 6 round brush to paint, but I'm going to use my number 2 round brush to pre-mix a couple of custom colors. Yes, a couple of custom colors. The colors that I'm going to use in this step are magenta, blue, black, white, and brown. And I'm going to make myself a light brown color and a purple. So I have pre-mixed my colors on my palette here. So this one right here is my light brown. How I achieved this is just brown and white, so mostly brown with just a little touch of white. This is going to get me into a very kind of milky looking pasty looking brown, which is going to be great for the base coat of a lot of areas on the bird. And then the other is going to be my purple, which I'll use as the base coat for the exterior wing. So I have that in through here. How I achieved this is magenta, blue, I'm going to call almost probably equal parts on both, maybe a little bit more magenta than blue. And then I'm adding black and white to it. So I'm adding gray to it. So similarly to how we did the light lavender color over here, I'm doing the purple in a similar way. So a little touch of black, a little touch of white, start spinning it together. And then you can adjust it once you see what's happening. So I've got too much blue in here and it's too dark. So I'm going to add a little bit more magenta and a touch more white and see if I can get it into the color I was hoping for. So there we go. And just add just little tiny drops at a time. There we go. That looks great. So this is just a very neutral or natural type of purple color. So I've got that in through there. So once I've got my colors ready, I am ready to start painting. I'm going to put my mixing tool away. So I'm going to be using my brown, my light brown, to paint this back wing in through here. So I'm just picking up some of my light brown, and I don't need any special brush stroke at this point because this light brown is going to cover pretty well, so you're not necessarily going to see the brush strokes because it's got great opacity to it. But if you wanted to just kind of bump up along the edges, that'll give you a little bit of more of a natural look to the edges of the feathers, and same thing on this bottom side. So no huge directional brush stroke on this, but maybe forming the shape on the exterior edges would be fine. So something like that. And then I'm also going to use this color on the head. So I'm going to pick up some more of this light brown. I'm going to use it on the entire head. I actually need to make more light brown. I guess I underestimated the quantity I was going to use. So hold the phone while I just make a little bit more of my light brown. So something like this, making sure I've got a similar color as I had initially. Tiny bit more white. There we go. And ready to paint. So as I do the head, I know that I'm going to have lighter areas underneath, like the neck of this particular bird. But I want to start with this nice kind of earthy tone so I can have it looking very nice and natural. As you do the beak, you might find that this brush is a bit too large for the way that you paint, and if so, you can certainly just switch to the smaller brush. And also know that we've got another step coming that will help to make any fine little details on it as well. So I'm going to just, as I'm going through this throat area, slow down so I don't make it too big or go outside of where I had initially wanted to go. So something like this. I will also, because this is a specific shape that I want to maintain throughout the painting process so I don't distort the appearance of my bird, I will most likely continue to leave a little bit of my my guideline along the edges so I don't accidentally make it too big. As I come down in through this region here, this is going to be a combination of little feathers around the edge of the bird. So I'm going to just kind of allow myself to be pretty carefree with my brush stroke down at this bottom edge so I can get little little marks for the tail feathers and those under feathers of the body. And then same thing in through here. And then this is a very similar tonal value to the background right now, which is one of the reasons why I am painting the bird right now, the base coat, because I want to be able to play with those colors behind it to make the bird pop even more later. So if you have a similar color, the tonal value in through here, it's okay right now. We'll get that to pop out in a little bit. And then I'm going to do this to, I'm going to bring this right to about where this kind of comes in through here. I'm going to just kind of cut this a little bit like this, leaving that egg shape outline around the back, because that's going to help me understand where the back meets that wing. And then this whole area, I'm going to just put a little bit of this brown in through here. And then I'm going to start picking up that custom purple. So this is going to be the darker purple on my dirty brush, I might add. So this is where I'm just going to allow myself to start this front wing. You can, at this point, if you wanted to, if you felt that it would benefit you to do directional brush strokes, just put it in the direction that you feel that those feathers are going. Not necessarily the wing, but the feathers. So the wing has its kind of backbone, if you will, on here, and then the feathers are going to kind of go out like this. And I don't really need to do it this way right now, but I just wanted to kind of show you if you did feel it necessary to do that on your part. But for me, I'm going to kind of make sure that I get these edges where it meets the body in through here. I'm not even concerned about that looking perfect right now. I just kind of want to get this coat on here. And then once I've got this little thing on my brush, I'm going to just go down this little edge. Just kind of make sure that I meet, or I get at least a coat on there along these edges. And then I'm going to switch back to my large bristle brush for the next step, because I want to get some of these flowers done on the next step. So once you've got this done, you can put this brush away, take out the large bristle brush, and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish, I'm going to call them the big pink flowers. So in the photo, there's a big flower here, which we've already started, and then there's a similar one behind the bird in through here. So this is why I wanted to put the bird on now before I finish these two flowers. Although this other one is a lot in behind it, I knew that when I did my out of focus background, I kind of started it, but I wasn't sure if I pulled it out far enough and had all the details, because in the picture there's a lot of this like pink lavendery stuff around the top of the bird, which makes the bird pop out even more. So I knew that I wanted to ensure that my bird was going to pop out really well. So I wanted to put my base coat on here, so even if my back flower wasn't high enough, I can bring it high enough now. If I want to lighten up any areas around that bird to ensure that the bird pops out, now's the time to do it. So that's why I kind of did it in this process. I also want to add a little bit more lightness into what's going to be this flower only farther away. So somewhere in through here, I want to add a little bit more lightness. So in this step, I'm going to use my large bristle brush. I'm going to be using white, magenta, yellow, and that might be it. I might use a little of that peach color too, but I'm not sure, or a little brown if I want to make these look a little bit more, if I need to add more darkness around the edges. But so those are the colors. So I'm first going to pre-mix myself pink. So this is where I'm going to use my magenta plus white. So I already have pre-mixed some on my palette here, so you can see where I'm headed. All it is magenta and white. I'm going for a pretty similar tonal value to what I had for my lavender, only now it looks more pink than lavender because I didn't add the gray to it. So that'll be my pink color, kind of like just like bubblegum pinky kind of color. So now that I've got that, I'm going to go into those really light areas with white and a teeny tiny touch of yellow. So I have white with a teeny tiny touch of yellow. So teeny of the yellow you can even wipe it off on your paper towel because the yellow is going to just overpower. I know I want a real light area in through here, so I'm going to go with my white and that teeny tiny touch of yellow right around this kind of, or right on top, introducing it to this little green area I had. And then I'm just going to kind of start pulling it out in a very kind of out of focus way to make kind of like these highlights on these petals. So it's just really light on the inside and then just kind of pulling it out into these petals just to give the illusion that it's kind of splaying out. I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'm not going to add any more yellow to my brush because I can already sense I still have some on there. So I'm going to start right in through here with a little bit of that white and just a teeny tiny touch of that yellow. This purpley lavendery area in through here is going to be part of that front flower, so I don't need to do too much with that. Just kind of pull this into that just a smudge, so something like this. And I really want this light area kind of right behind this beak. This is why I did that beak first, so I know where I want those really bright pops to be. Now I'm going to pick up some of my pink and white on my brush, just a little tiny bit of pink and white on my brush, and I can start to go out a little bit farther than that light area. So just a little bit of pink and white, maybe a little bit more pink than that. I was a little nervous on the pink, but I'm just adding a little bit more. And this is where I can start to pull these petals out even further if I wanted to. So this is, if I wanted some additional ones to kind of come up past where I had already kind of marked it, I can certainly do that. And again, this is pretty out of focus, but it still is more in the foreground than the other stuff that we had put in the background. So I think I'm just going to stick with the pink and not the white on my brush. I like that. I'm going to do the same thing up in through here, just kind of transition myself out of that super light area with a little bit of pink. And this is where I can also bring it up into the exterior up in through here, because I see some of this back behind the bird up in through here. So I definitely feel like I want to incorporate that because I feel it's important to get that bird to pop out. So, and it looks like they're kind of like these little curvy kind of petals coming out of here. So something like that totally works for me. And maybe a little bit coming out in through here. So again, right now I've just got the pink on my brush and I'm still maintaining kind of an out of focus soft edges to it. And then this kind of just disappears behind what's going to be this big bluish kind of flower in the front. So something like this. This needs to be a little bit more kind of diffused in through here. That looks nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start picking up my magenta. So my magenta is going to transition me out and give me some really brighter edges to these petals. So with my magenta on my dirty brush, I can kind of go and give myself these out of focus edges around what I already have. So this is going to kind of, and again, very tiny bit on my brush. This is going to just accentuate the color of this flower back here. And you don't, again, have to do it exactly as I'm doing it. I'm just kind of doing it the way that I'm seeing it in the photo. It just seems like it's a little bit more intense on the colors around the edges, but it's still out of focus and diffused. So that's where I'm using this bristle brush to help me create that appearance. Up in through here, again, just a teeny tiny bit of my magenta. I might even need to go a little on with the white too, but I'm thinking I'll just kind of try it like this, and if I want to add a little bit more, I certainly can. But just little hints of it here and there on these little tips, not much, maybe just a little more up and through here. And then I feel like there's some little sunshine on a couple of these pieces, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of my, actually let me wash my brush first. I'm going to wash my brush. I see some little dark spots in through here that I just want to kind of take care of. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of brown before I start hitting the really bright spots. So a little bit of brown, just kind of, I see a couple of little dark spots in through here. So just kind of getting those in there. There's a little bit more darkness in through here. So just kind of popping this in between these petals. And then right underneath the tail, I see a little bit of lightness. So I'm going to pick up just a tiny bit of brown and white, and just a little bit lighter than whatever my tail already has. So that can help make that tail pop out, and I can do a little bit of that on the upper side of it too. And this is where I was thinking I might use a little bit of that peachy tone, which I think I'm going to pick up a tiny bit, just an itty bitty dot of the peachy tone on my brush, just to set in motion a little bit of warm light tones up around that tail. There we go, that looks good to me. And then just scumble it out so I can so it diffuses it. That looks good. So then over I need a little more lightness in through here. I'm picking up white plus a tiny touch of my pink white. Just, that was a little bit too dramatic for me, so just softening that, softening this. And then along these edges, I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of white and yellow on the tip of my brush, just a teeny tiny bit of white and yellow. Give myself just a couple little pops of just sunshine on these guys. And again, if you felt that you wanted to, or that it would benefit you to, oops, that was a little too much, to go a little bit darker or lighter in these are just the background noise. They're just allowing our beautiful bird to pop a little bit more. And if you wanted to put a little bit more darkness back here, I could use maybe a little bit of brown in my peach, and you could just kind of tap in just little dark marks between some of those little petals up here, and that'll give you just a little bit more dimension in them. Not necessary, but if you felt that you wanted to go that extra mile and add those little dark marks, that will make those little petals pop out just a smudge more. And then I just need a little pop of yellow down on this bottom right side, so I'm washing my brush. And I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of my deep yellow and just kind of smudge this in here in a little kind of soft circular area. And I think that might be it. Maybe, I feel like this should be a little darker. I'm going into my my purple. Didn't say I was using purple. I feel like there should be a little purpley color down here for some reason. There is in the photo, so let's just put it here. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. So once you've got this into a place that is pleasing to your eye, I'm going to be using, for the next step, I am going to use my number 6 round brush. So you can just get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the body and the tail feathers. So kind of from like the neck area to the tail feather. There is going to be a little foot that we'll put on later, but this is going to be just this main central area. I'm going to use my number 6 round brush. The colors I'm using are black, brown, green, yellow, white, blue, and pink. If I use any other colors, I'll let you know. So this particular bird has some green feathers on its back. I swear this bird in this photo is so color coordinated with all the scenery, which is why I think I was so drawn to this photo. So it's got green that complements here. It's got pinks and lavenders on its belly that complement these flowers. It's got some like bluish color in through here that is like the same color as this. So we're going to use all those colors in this step. So I'm going to start with some real dark areas and then we'll build our way to the light. I'm going to put a little bit of water on my brush and pick up a touch of black. So I'm going to be using the black as between the tail feathers, some shadows along the bottom edge in through here, the shadow from this wing that's onto the back, and then that's probably going to be it for the black, and then we'll build our stuff after that. So I'm going to take it, if this is the tip of my tail in through here, I'm going to take it up just a little bit and start adding these kind of dark marks throughout this tail, so it almost appears as if there's layers of feathers just kind of laying on top of each other. So something like this. On the bottom side, I don't need to take this very far, but I want to take kind of this black line-ish almost to where this wing is. So if this is where this wing kind of meets, just a little bit shy of that. So somewhere in through here is about where I bring that to. And then I can take towards the bottom side of the feathers and the body, and I can just kind of dapple in a couple of dark lines in through here and there. That's going to help separate those little feathers. And then in through here, maybe just a little bit down in this area and through here. His little feet are going to be popping out somewhere in through here. Then I'm going to take this black, watered down black, and I'm going to add a real dark shadow up on his, I don't know if it's a he or she, I just called it a he, not quite sure why, up onto the back and through here, and bring it right down kind of in this diagonal, almost curved manner to the back edge of this wing in through here. So something like this, and I can use this black to, in essence, kind of shape the edge of this wing in through here. So something like this. That looks pretty good to me. There we go. And then I'm going to use this black also down this back side of the tail, or the back side of the back, to give myself these little kind of curved marks. This is going to give me the little edges to the feathers. I'm going to have some green in it in a minute too, but right now just kind of allowing myself to start this textural process. Looks like the little edges, as they get towards the end, I can put a little bit more darkness on the top side in through here, and they might get a little bit longer as they go towards that end. So that looks pretty good. The body kind of blends into this feather up and through here, so I'm going to just give myself a little bit of darkness right in through here so I can understand where I want those two to meet. And then coming in through here, I'm just going to kind of tap this black out in just these little speckly marks like this. That looks pretty good. And then where the wing kind of meets in through here, I'm going to just put a little dark area like that. All right, so that looks good for my dark areas. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my brush, and I want to start adding some of my lighter colors, but and I don't know if I said I was using light brown. Light brown is also part of the equation here. So the belly has got some pinkier tones, so I can use my, I think I called out that I was going to be using my pink. I can use my pink plus a little bit of my light brown to kind of start this this lighter area on the chest. So pink plus light brown is going to give me this really neutralized kind of pinkish hue in through here, and I'm just kind of tapping my brush down and towards in kind of a curved type of motion. I'm going to pick up pink plus a little bit of white now as I kind of come into this area, so it gets a little bit brighter as I'm coming up towards what's going to be the throat area. I just picked up more pink and a little bit of my light brown. So I think the idea here is just to not get it to go too light or one color. I will have kind of another pass along the edges as it's meeting the rest of the body, or of the throat and the head. But right now I just am trying to get it to start to intermingle with it with just these little kind of short strokes. As I get up in through here, I want that to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to stop picking up my pink and my white, and I'm going to pick up my my light brown plus regular brown. So I think I said I was using my burnt umber, but if not, I'm using that as well, and just kind of tapping that in, and also now a touch of black, just to give myself just a couple little additional black marks in through here, make sure that that's nice and textured. So that looks pretty good. Picking up a tiny bit of pink right now to just give myself a couple of little extra marks in through here, making sure I'm not over painting what's already on there. So that gives me a nice nice display of those. As I move towards the back in through here, I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my burnt umber on my brush, on my dirty brush, just to kind of transition back into this darker area over here. And I'm seeing now that I didn't see earlier right in through here, there's some kind of orangey tone, so I'm picking up peach. So peach is getting added to the list right now. I'm going to I can't believe how color coordinated this little tiny bird is with this scenery. It's just, as a painter, it's getting all of my little juices flowing as I keep looking at the little color variety in it. It's just, I see a little bit of this orange on the tail. So I'm just bringing it back into this little spot on the tail, and it just excites me when I see stuff like that. I'm now gonna not wash my brush. I'm gonna pick up yellow and white and green. Yellow, white, and green just went on my brush, and I'm gonna transition myself up into the darker area, the darker green area. A little bit more yellow and green on my brush, this little darker area. And I'm just going dots right now because I want to keep some of that light brown tone underneath. So these little speckly dots are representing the tips of the feathers, and it's allowing me to keep some of that darkness underneath there and make it look nice and realistic. I'm just picking up a little bit more green, and I'm going in between my little black marks. So again, allowing myself to have the green tones, but still keeping those little black lines that I had put in there. And I might, once it dries, I might fiddle with it a little bit more, but green, yellow, and white are the colors that I'm doing for the tail. It looks to be lighter down at the bottom edge as it's kind of coming out of the shadow of the wing. And just again, just these little kind of dash kind of marks, something like that. Maybe a little bit more green, and my peach right in through here. And then that looks pretty cool. So now I'm going to tackle this area right in through here. And I'm looking, putting my head back. Before I do that, I'm going to wash my brush. I'm putting a little bit more black back on my brush. I feel like I could bring a couple of these little marks just a little bit further down and a little bit more bold on this tail, or on this back area. Something like that. That'll make those colors, the greens, pop a little bit more. Here we go. Just again, trying to control myself and not bring it too far, keeping those little curved lines. There we go. That looks good. Washing my brush, I'm going to put some of that, let's see. So we have that bluish color. So how did I get there? I got there with lavender, blue, and white. So if I didn't say all of those colors, it's lavender, blue, and white going onto my brush to give myself some of these little blue-ish tones kind of coming down in through here. So blue, a little lavender. This bird is so pretty. A little lavender, little brown is going on my brush. And I'm thinking that might be just a little bit more bluish tone right in through here. So blue and lavender. And then it looks like I need this to be a little bit darker than this. So I think I actually want to lighten up this area in through here. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more of my pink, white, and brown to just kind of get this a little bit lighter than in through here. So I just need to change that tonal value just a little bit so it looks a little bit fuller in through here without, again, overdoing it, just kind of making it look a little bit fuller. And then I would, I think, and that's pretty good. I'm just sticking my head back here. I think that looks pretty good for now. So I'm gonna, for the next step, I'm gonna use this same brush. So you can just wash and dry your brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're gonna do for the next step is we're gonna paint the wings. I'm gonna be using my number 6 round brush. The colors I think I'm using are black, brown, light brown, white, peach, purple, and blue. I think I got them all. If I use any others, I'll let you know. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna first I'm gonna separate this exterior wing. Has kind of 2 parts to it. It has like the exterior, forgive my terminology, shoulder part, and then it has the feathers that come out of that kind of ovally shoulder part. The feathers will come out of that. This one we're just seeing the underside. So I'm going to section off that shoulder part, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a gradient from on both of the wings from light to dark, and then at that part where these 2 sections meet, I'll go from light to darker, and then we'll paint in the lines of the feathers. So first I'm going to put a tiny bit of black, brown, and water on my brush so I can kind of sketch in where I want this section to occur. So what I'm seeing in the photo is it's about halfway between here and here. So somewhere in this vicinity, right about in through here, is where it's gonna kind of section off, and then almost halfway up between like here and here. So this is about halfway, and it looks to be a little bit lower than that, and over to the left a little bit is kind of where the tip of it resides. Oops, my body of my bird is wet. I just stuck my hand in it. So I'm going to take from this little tip, and I'm going to bring just a little kind of sketcherly line in like that, and then I'm going to connect here to here with just little kind of bumpy type of marks. They don't have to be anything perfect, just these little kind of bumpy type of marks will work. That one probably could have gone out a little further. And then in through here, it will kind of connect gently to here, but you don't really need a super dark line, but that will just help you to understand where it is. And that's where these little dots, this little black dotted section was coming into place. You can actually now kind of with that same color mixture on your brush, you can extend this dot section kind of all the way up to there, and then maybe just kind of put a couple more dots in through here like that. That looks good. And then it just kind of dissipates into what's going to be kind of these faint little lines in through there. So that looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to work on this one first with a gradient, and then I'll come to this one, and then we'll do our feather lines. So washing my brush, and I can see on my palette here I'm pretty plumb out of my light brown, so I'm making some more of my light brown because I need it. So making some more of my light brown. Apparently you're going to need quite a bit. So I'm going to start with some light brown plus a touch of white. So light brown plus a touch of white, and I'm going to put this right in right next to the exterior wing like this. And again, you can certainly kind of make little bumps for the edges of those feathers. And then once I've got that started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rub it out to the right. And I feel like I have too much paint on my brush right now, so I'm going to wipe my brush off and just get it to blend out into that darker, well, what I'm calling light brown, but it's a darker version because there's no white in it. And then you can just pick up some of the dark brown, or the light brown, to get it to blend. And then as you get towards the tip or towards the edge of those feathers, you can pick up a tiny bit of brown, burnt umber, and a little bit of your peach. So brown and peach is going to kind of wrap up the edges of the feathers. So burnt umber plus a tiny bit of peach, and this is going to be kind of my darkest little tone for the edges of the feathers. So you might find that you want to do a different kind of color combination, but this is what I'm seeing in it. And I'm putting a little bit of water on my brush too, so I can have these cleaner edges right now, because I'm feeling like, we're kind of in the home stretch of the wings. So just allowing myself a little more blendability with a touch of water on my brush, so it ends up being lighter here and darker in through there. And it doesn't have to be a perfect blend, but if you want to blend it out a little bit more, feel free to do so. So that looks good to me. I'm going to wash my brush now and head on into the other wing, the exterior wing. So this is where I'm going to use my purple plus a tiny bit of white on my brush. So purple plus a tiny bit of white, and I'm going to start right in through here, this little area in through here, and I'm going to give myself that light section right in through here, and then I'm going to just kind of, I don't want to go, I don't feel like it comes, well, actually there's a little bit of lightness here. It feels like there's more peach down here. We're going to probably go into the peach down there in a little bit. And then just kind of let it blend out. And then on the exterior, especially on the top, I feel like I'm going to be using some of my purple plus a touch of my peach. Again, for these little edges. That peach is really just coming in handy. It just seems to be almost like my unifying or my harmonizing color throughout this painting. And it definitely appears kind of orange right next to the purple. So if you wanted it to be even more peachy, you could certainly just add a little bit more of that of the magenta to it. Just getting my little edges to work with me. So again, I just went from a lighter tone in this area in through here. And you could even, if you felt that, your confidence is up, you could even kind of bring a little bit of these lighter tones up into this exterior one, like this. And then this is where down here, I feel like I see a little bit of blue. So I'm going to go with my purple, blue, and a tiny touch of white. So purple, blue, and a tiny touch of white as I come down into this section, down in through here, like that. Just kind of giving this overlay of colors to resemble what I'm seeing. And then down in through here, I'm seeing some of those pinky peachy tones. I'm going to go with a bit of peach and pink on my brush. So a little pink is going on my brush right in here. So peach and pink, just right in this little section in through here. As you build, when I'm going from one step to the next, I'm thinking, yep, those are the only colors I'm going to be using. That's all I see. But the more I look And the more I start to build, I'm like, oh wait, but there's that color too. I can see another color in through there. So you just kind of find your way, and you can always add more paint. So if you think that you're going to be using one color and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I want more colors, then it's okay. So while these two are kind of drying, I'm going to finish this little section in through here. I feel like there's just a little plethora of colors in this area in through here. So I'm going to go into that peach. I'm going to make a couple of little kind of peach dots in through here. I'm seeing some of my purple and maybe a little bit of white. So purple and white is going to give me kind of like these little, these almost look like shorter kind of wing or little tiny feathers in through here. So I've just got purple and white and just kind of doing these little streaks in through here to give this effect. I'm seeing some more little polka dotty stuff in through here, so I'm just using the remnants on my brush right now. I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of black because I feel like there's another little black row of something in through here. So whatever, I mean, the photo that I'm looking at is not 100% in focus, so I'm kind of making stuff up as I go along. I just picked up a little bit of my light brown plus white too, just to kind of give myself, it looks like there's little longer pieces in through here, and then maybe a little bit of my peach just for good measure. There we go. That looks great. So now I'm going to go into the back wing right here. I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to be using a combination of brown, black, and water. And first I'm going to put a little shadow down here because there's probably more brown than black on this one. There's a little shadowy, oh, I need a little more black than that. A little shadow over here, but I didn't want it to be totally black, so, because I'm not seeing it as black, so I'm just going to kind of put it like that. And then I'm going to do my lines between my wings, my feathers. So I'm seeing at the bottom of this display, like the bottom one kind of comes like that. And then if I go way up to the top, it's at a different angle. So I think for me, to keep my brain in order, I'm going to do it one at the top and one at the bottom, and then kind of work my way into each other. And what's happening is one feather is casting a shadow on the feather underneath it. So as I'm doing this, so I've got it kind of in through here, and then it kind of goes out towards that tip. I definitely need more black. I just was being more cautious than anything. So like this, and then gets more narrow at the tip. And then you can mark them, you can do whatever you want, but that one's gonna go that way. And then these guys down here are gonna kind of come under, and they have to slowly kind of meet each other in a casual kind of way. So if this is this one here, we've got that kind of coming like that. We've got this one kind of coming like this. And at some point they'll just kind of slowly work their way towards each other's angles, and they'll look nice and natural. So something like that. And if you felt that you needed or wanted to do anything else with the gradients, you could certainly just kind of add more into the shadowy area. Like I just added a little bit more black to my brush because I felt like I was being a little bit too wimpy. So I added a little bit more darkness just to give it a little bit more contrast. There we go. And then I could certainly, if I felt that I needed to or wanted to add anything else, I certainly could. If I felt that I needed to do anything with the gradients, I could certainly, wash my brush and fiddle with those more. You could just pick up some of your light brown and just kind of fiddle with those as much as you want. Maybe just add a little more on these tips in through here, and then that will make it look like it's definitely shadowing on. Or you can even lighten it up a little bit. So a little bit of the light brown and white will give you an even lighter kind of contrast on that tip. But you know, you can fiddle with that as much as you want. So then as I work to the outer one, it's a similar process, just not so black. So I'm not even probably going to use black on the inside or the outside ones. I'm going to use my purple plus, well, actually, let me just make a darker shade of purple. So purple plus black and water. So I don't even, you know, you could mix it or just use them on your brush at the same time. I'm just going to use them on my brush at the same time. And this is going to be the same thing. I'm going to start up here and just tell myself, okay, here's this one, light sketcherly, and then down here, I'm coming in this direction. So now I've got to do the same thing to get them to meet one another. So again, purple, black with a little bit of water and something like this. And these ones are definitely more subtle in the picture, in the photo. So you can make yours as subtle or as not as you want. Whatever, you know, feeds your painterly eye. That looks pretty to me. And then if you felt that you wanted to fiddle with it, you could certainly, like I feel like I want to put some of my purple plus white just to kind of enhance a little bit more of these guys right here. So you can certainly play with it after that. You know, once you've got them in place and you kind of understand what's happening to what and how to get them in their resting order and how to get the effect to get them to look a specific way. You can also make sure that you get rid of your chalk marks. Like right now I can see my chalk marks, so I would just kind of go around with a wet paintbrush with water on it and just kind of get rid of these edges. And if your tonal value of your wings is similar to the background, you can always kind of give it a very faint outline. So if I pick up a little bit of watered down white paint, I could, and just really subtle, I could just kind of give this little tiny highlight to the outside, on top of the sky or the background. So it would almost just kind of get that wing to pop out just a teeny tiny bit more. So that's not necessary, but if you find that your tonal value is too similar and it's not popping enough, you can do a quick little trick like that. And then I'm going to be using my number 2 round brush for the next step. So once you've got this done, you can put this brush away, take out a number 2 round or a smaller round, and get ready for the next step. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to finish the head and neck. I'm going to be using my number 2 round. I'm going to be using black, white, light brown, purple, pink, and I'm sure I'm going to use my peach because I can't resist using it elsewhere, so I think it might have to be brought out again. So I'm going to be doing very minimal detail on its eye because I can hardly see the eye in this photo. It's probably just going to be black with a couple of little quick marks. I'm going to be adding some shadow and highlight to the beak. I'm going to be adding some of my purples and pink tones underneath here, and then the top of the head is going to be just speckly. We'll add a lighter area in through here for that throat part of it. So I'm going to first start with some black and a little bit of water on my brush in order to establish my darker areas. So black with a little bit of water. So the eye on this one is somewhere in this vicinity. So I'm just going to give myself a small little circle that's kind of like the size of a pea, I would say. Somewhere in that area. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give an arcing line over this eye that looks like it connects down to the beak. So I'm going to start somewhere maybe in through here, arc it over and touch the eye in through here, and then kind of curve it down like this, and then swoop it into the bottom of the beak. Like this, swoop it, and bring it into the bottom of the beak. And then I'm just going to ride the rest of the beak down to the tip with this black. So something like that. I'm gonna, looks like I can carry this line a little bit further with kind of a polka dotted, what looks like it kind of goes like this, and then kind of polka dots up into here, just to kind of give that, there's some kind of exterior shape like that. I can now take back behind this eye. I'm going to start polka dotting in like a little triangular type of section like this. So I still have some of my brown in there. And again, I'm using black plus water, so some of these marks are going to be a little transparent. I'm going to do the same thing underneath here, kind of in the front of the eye like this, and bring it down something like this. So these are just polka dots. That's all I'm doing right now is little polka dots, and maybe just a little bit under that eye. So something like that. That works. Probably brought this a little too scoopy too fast, but that's okay. There we go. And then I'm going to do some black polka dots underneath the neck too, so I can almost, it looks like I can just kind of outline the bottom part of this neck. And I'm just, whenever I'm doing smaller details like this, a lot of times I'm using water on my brush. I'm using a sketcherly type of approach where I'm just kind of hardly touching the canvas with the tip of my brush, so I can get these very organic kind of marks. There's lots of, I see lots of little polka dots kind of underneath this neck that look to be kind of darker and more concentrated at the bottom, and then as they're moving up the throat or the neck, they get a little more dissipated. So if I know that, what I can do is I'll start the dark area with the higher quantity of paint on my brush, and then as I start to run out of paint, that's when I start to move away from that area, and it'll give me a nice gradient away from that with these polka dots. So it'll allow me to get, you know, my bigger, darker marks where I want it concentrated. It's similar to like when you're drawing and you're hatch marking, making marks tighter together are going to make it look more concentrated. So it's similar with these dots, and with, you know, the thought process of when I'm doing the darker dots to the lighter dots, I can do it with more paint on my brush, and I just start in an area where I feel I need more, and then I can just work my way to the areas where I feel I need less. On this head and through here, I'm seeing that almost like there's curved rows of these dots back here, and then it kind of just works its way just to polka dots back in through here. And then on the front part of the head, same thing holds true. I'm seeing kind of like more concentrated over on this left side like this, and then as it works its way towards the right, there's definitely less. So I'm just going to kind of dot it more heavily on this top side in through here. Oh, there's some on the top of the beak too. There's a bunch of them down this front part of the face. So actually I'm just going to kind of ride my brush down here with polka dots, quite a bit of them, but I'm being mindful that I don't overpaint and I don't get rid of all that other color that I have underneath it. So just polka dots. It's pretty dark down the actual front part of the beak, so I can go almost just streak this down on this left side with black paint as well. And it looks like there's a little bit of lightness in that beak, so I can just leave some of whatever color I have underneath as my light section there. Over on this, by this eye, I'm still seeing more kind of black polka dotty stuff to transition out of this line that I just made. So I'm just going to kind of polka dot a little bit out of there, so it just doesn't look like a solid line. That looks pretty good. I'm seeing some darker polka dots in through here, but I don't feel like they're black. So this is where I'm going to pick up some of my purple with my black, and I'm going to start to polka dot with some purple in through here. Purple and whatever the remnants of my black were on my brush. So in through here, it's got some purple. This is going right back into what's going to be the bright section of the throat. I see some purpley stuff up in through here, and then down here I'm also seeing some little purpley stuff. I feel like now I can start picking up I don't know if I said I was using pink. I'm picking up some pink with my purple. So pink and purple. And I'm going to just start on my dirty brush, mind you. Start dotting in some of these pink tones in through here, because that's what I'm seeing. So when you see it, just do it. And if I'm getting kind of more of a purplish tone right now. I'm gonna, in a minute, I'll probably wash my brush so I can get more of the vibrant pinky tones, which is right now. I'm washing my brush because I had too much paint on my brush, and which is great because it's gonna make me work my way towards that bright pink tones. So I just picked up some, I washed my brush and I picked up some of the pink, and now I can just kind of poke it at these little tiny spots I'm seeing around the eye, up and through here. And then I'm feeling like I might, let's see, just some pink in through here. So these are really light spots of pink I'm seeing. Okay, I'm gonna pick up pink plus a tiny touch of my peach. So pink and peach just went on my brush to get me a little bit more saturated color in through here. And at any time, if you feel like you want some magenta, pick up some magenta. That's, you know, these birds can be in multiple different colors. So I'm just going with what I'm seeing in the photo, but you can certainly play with it. I'm going to pick up some of my light brown right now and on my dirty brush and start dotting this head region with a little bit of whatever light colors were on my brush plus my light brown. And now I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of white plus my light brown, white and light brown. Give myself, there's a couple of really light dots around these eyes. So, and this front of the head. So just light brown plus white is what I just picked up. Just adding these little tiny sparkle marks on this head. And then I have this, I want to hit the eye. So I'm going to wash, actually I don't really need to wash my brush. I can just take the light colors on there. I'm going to do just a little swoop on the top and then a little back curve on that bottom right. I'm going to now wash my brush and I'm going to pick up white and put this kind of like little crest eyebrow little piece in through here. There's a little eyebrow piece, maybe a little tiny extra sparkle in that eye, a little extra there. And then I'm going to go in for this area right here. Kind of weighted on that. I'm going to, boy, I feel like I'm seeing some of that bluish tone. I'm going to actually go with white, blue, which I didn't say I was going to use, and lavender. So white, blue, and lavender. Hopefully I said all those colors earlier. And I'm going to put this as this bright throated area in through here. So this kind of, it's just, looks like it's like soft down type of feathers. So I'm just going to kind of get it to splay out and softly blend into all the stuff that's next to it. So I'm just kind of swirling my brush around in this little circular motion. Put it on the heaviest kind of in through here. Feel like it needs to go just a little bit wider down here. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of my peach plus pink, just to put this down here at this bottom area, just so I can have some contrast against here, and maybe just a tiny bit of black on my brush too. Just make sure I've got that contrast where I want it. And as you're doing yours, again, you know, feel it out. I'm picking up some more of that lavender color. If you want more pink, if you want more blue, these, you know, those are decisions that you can make on your own. I'm picking up some more of my pink to go right in through here. I feel like this could be lighter in through here, so just a little bit more of my pink. And then I would definitely, for me, I need to step back from mine. I feel like I'm kind of too close to it to judge if I've got everything exactly where I want it. So I would suggest the same for you as you're kind of finishing it up. You know, step back, see if you've got all those tones in there that you want. Like I I got to add another color. I feel like I want to add more magenta. So I just picked up a little bit of magenta to put on the magenta and my light brown. I feel like I want just a little bit of extra deep pinker tones in through here. So the magenta is going to help me do that. I could also do that anywhere I want. So if I feel like I will need it to pop a little bit more, have a little bit more of that magenta tone in there, that will definitely help me get those colors again to tie to the surroundings and to just get these colors to be a little bit more saturated, maybe a little bit more black, to get a couple more polka dots in through here. So I think I'm coming to a place where I'm pretty pleased with how it's looking at this point. So I would suggest, you just fiddle with it until you feel that you've got it in a place that is pleasurable to your eye. And then we're going to be using probably a combination of brushes for the next step, which I have not decided which ones they are going to be, but it's probably going to be a little bit of possibly all 3 brushes for the next step. So once you've got this done, you can just get your brushes prepared and get ready for the next step. All right, so I decided on the brushes I'm going to use for this step. For this step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to paint these green. There's a green plant down in the bottom left-hand corner, so I'm going to paint the green plant and the little bird foot, which I forgot in the last step. So I'm going to be using both my number 2 and my number 6 round brushes. The colors I'm going to be using are black, green, brown, yellow, and white. And what I'm going to first do is hit the little foot with black. I'm just using my small round for this, black with a little bit of water on my brush. And it's just going to come out in through here, and it's just a couple little tiny claws. If you want yours to go past, feel free to make it go past. Just, I'm trying to get mine to come, look like it's underneath one of the feathers. Nothing exciting there. Just a little tiny dark mark to indicate the foot. There we go. So the plant, I want to make myself like an army green color. So I'm going to take my number 6 round and I'm going to use green with a little bit of my dirty brown, yellow, and white, and just mix it all together. Maybe some more yellow than that. So it's kind of just a real earthy green type of a color. That looks pretty good to me. And that's going to be the start of my plant. So this plant it almost looks like it's probably a budding, the beginning of a really cool flower. So I don't know really what kind of flower it is, but it's got these kind of I don't want to call them broccoli type of tops, but it's just like little round tops in through here. And most of this, or a lot of this plant, is hidden behind what's going to be the big flower that our hummingbird is drinking out of. So I don't really need to do a whole heck of a lot here. I just want to kind of capture the essence of this plant. So I put some little those little broccoli things on, and now I'm going to put some stems on. Some are going to go in front of others. And again, I'm just kind of using this green color combination. I guess I could have one kind of underneath here too. They're just these little round things. I don't know what they are. I don't know what part of the world this photograph was taken, and this is such an unusual little plant thing. I think it's super cool, but so that's the area it's going in. Once I've got that, maybe I should put one here too, just for good measure. There we go. So once I've got that, what I'm going to do is I am going to switch back to my smaller brush. I'm going to put some shadows, and then I'm going to put some highlights. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of black with a little bit of water. You don't always need to do shadows with black, but I'm going to use black, water, and my custom green, and I'm just going to start to make these little oh, maybe more black than that. Kind of these little dark areas. Maybe this one is set behind that one. That one I can't see the stem. I can take the bottoms of these little grain things and just kind of add these little curved marks. I don't need to do it in all of them. I'm just gonna sneeze. Hold on. Oh, it doesn't happen very often, but I feel like I'm gonna sneeze right now. Okay, all right, I held it back. So I'm just kind of taking and making these little kind of dark curved marks more towards the bottom of this little display. This one I can put in front, and then once I've got some of these guys, with this one I'll go behind that one, put a little dark area, a little dark area, a little dark area down here. Because I'm using water with my darkness, it'll look good. So then I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to use my custom green plus a little yellow and white. This will give me my highlight for them. So my custom green plus a little yellow and white, and I can pop on these just little pops of bright balls, just little kind of marks, little circular type of shapes, and just kind of streak it down that stem, little kind of circular dots to create what would be the highlighted part of it, like this, a little streak down the stem. And you can see I'm going fast because I feel that this isn't the star of the show. This is actually, to me, just color coordinating with the green up top, and it's helping to balance the painting. I was just trying to decide whether or not to even keep it, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought that it was important to the composition. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that yellow and white. So I'm going to pick yellow and white now is going to be the extra pop of brightness on these little guys. You could even just go green and white if you wanted to add like different shades of the highlighted color of green. So don't feel that it has to be the same highlight color, but this is just adding to the sunshine effect of the scenery. It's allowing me to just get a little bit more information in here. It's allowing it to kind of color coordinate again with the other stuff within the painting. So those are, as you're creating your compositions, those are the decisions that you make to balance your painting or to harmonize your colors or to, tell a little bit more to the story. So you make those decisions all on your own. And then I'm going to be using, for my next step, I am definitely going to be using probably my large bristle brush and my small round brush. So you can just get ready. All right, so what we're going to do for the next step is we're going to paint the main flower. I wish I knew what kind of flower this was, but I don't, so I'm just going to call it the main flower. So this is the flower that the hummingbird is enjoying for the sunny afternoon. I'm going to be using both my large bristle brush and my number 2 round brush. The colors I'm using are blue, magenta, white, my purple, and perhaps a touch of black, and that might be, and white too. Oh, I said white, and I think that should be it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my large bristle brush to do as much work as possible, because I personally don't have the patience to do one piece of thing at a time, but I know it's very necessary in this one to give it that depth that that is in the photograph. So I'm going to use the large bristle brush to get the softer, almost out of focus little pieces of the flower, and then I'm going to use my small brush to get the singular pieces. So I'm going to be pre-mixing myself a light blue color, which is very similar to what we used on the fly or made on the fly, but I wanted to be able to just have it at the ready for this go around. So I have done that on my palette. So this is my light blue here. How I achieve this is a little bit of blue, a touch of magenta, and then white. So it's kind of steering towards a light periwinkle type of a color. Periwinkle kind of is light blue, but kind of almost steers towards a lavender type of a tone. So think of it somewhere in that family. And then once I have that, I'm pretty ready to go. I'm going to be using very little bit of paint on my brush. I've already kind of got my light blue area started here, but I feel like there should be a couple more little bits of darkness underneath here. So I'm going to be playing with my light blue, my purple. Oh, and I probably might use my lavender too. So lavender as well, to get this to start. So I'm going to start right off the bat with a little bit of my light blue and just kind of get my wheels kind of started. I will always have just a teeny tiny bit of paint on my brush because I know that I need this to look airy. I actually want it to look like I'm using a smaller brush. So you can see on this darker color how if I use my brush properly, it just gives me these little streaks. And that's what I'm really looking for here. And I'm looking at the motion of the little, I guess these are called petals. I don't know. They don't look like, they look like long pieces of grass, but I'm sure if it's a flower, they're petals, but maybe they're called like stamen or something like that. I'm not quite sure. So the bird's beak is right in between everything. So I can kind of cross some of these over here. I can pull some up in through here. I feel like I might add a little bit more darkness down in that bottom right hand corner, but just kind of getting myself ready here. Oops, that was a little extra there. Just kind of getting the direction of these guys coming out. They're coming out in like these little poofs of sorts, kind of like that. I want some more dark stuff underneath here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of I forgot what I said I was using, a little tiny bit of black on my dirty brush. Not sure if I said black. So just kind of, I feel like there needs to be there's some little dark stuff underneath here. So one thing that has always stuck in my head as a painter, and I don't even know where I heard it, but it just makes so much sense to me, is you can't see the light without the dark. So as I am working my way towards these pieces of this flower that I really just want to pop, and I want it to look like there's dimension to it, the light pieces are not going to be visible if I just have them on top of something light. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking in that photo and saying, where is there's like darkness all behind some of these little pieces and through here. So I'm just using a tiny bit of watered down black on my brush. So little, I keep wiping it off to just kind of introduce some of these darker, shadowy kind of marks in through here. This is going to add to all of those brighter colors that I'm going to put on top in a minute. So right now, and this is where I was thinking I was also going to use a little bit of my purple. So I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of purple also with a tiny bit of water on my brush, tiny bit of purple, and I can get these little itty bitty streaks in through here. And this is gonna, I'm hardly touching my canvas. Right now I can't stress to you enough how limited of a touch I am using, and just the corner of my brush. And I'm kind of bringing this over in the direction that I'm seeing these little pieces kind of falling in through here. So again, this is purple with a tiny bit of black and a little bit of water on my brush. it's allowing me, I'm not digging this guy here, so let's just make it hide behind here. So I'm using just that corner of my brush. I'm seeing these little pieces kind of all out in through here. So I am allowing myself, I see it crossing over here. I'm allowing myself to put these pieces of this flower right in front of everything else. So this darkness I'm using right now, because I'm just using the little tip of my brush, I'm allowing myself to put it in all these little different directions, like I'm seeing them in the photo. I see them kind of crossing over the beak. There's even some going right into the in front of the bird. So I'm allowing myself to be very liberal with this darkness, knowing that in a minute when I start popping those little bright tones on top, it's going to be magical. So again, just hardly any on my brush. I'm picking up a tiny bit more black, just because that lavender, I feel in spots could use just a little more extra help. So just little tiny bits of black in through here. Gonna just allow myself, again, don't be afraid of the dark. Especially even on this flower is so light and dainty and looks like there's a million tiny little pieces of, you know, feathery, singular, beautiful little things. You still need the dark in order for that to have some power and in order for you to see all those little details. So don't be afraid of the dark. Just use a little water while you're doing it, and that will help you to just kind of give yourself more margin for error. And again, I'm just kind of going with the direction that I'm seeing this in. Oh, I can't wait to add the light stuff. So just, oops, that was too aggressive. So I got my paper towel in my hand too. So if I get too excited like I just did, I can just use my paper towel to wipe it away before it dries. So I'm watching kind of the direction. I'm seeing this in through here. Okay. All right. I am so excited about this. I was a little nervous about this part because I knew that it was going to need this kind of extra delicate thought into it with these light tones and these dark tones, but man, I'm having fun doing this. And then once I've got this going on, I got all these little fun singular pieces. Oof, that was fun. Okay, I'm going to start going towards the light. I'm working my way towards the light. So this is where I can use the brighter tones. I can use, maybe I'll touch my brush in a little bit of lavender. I didn't wash my brush, but I just put a little bit of lavender, and you're going to be able to see as soon as I, and again, don't push too hard. As soon as, this is where I should be using the smaller brush, so I might have to change in a minute, but if I can't control this brush. So this is where, as soon as I start, yeah, I might have to use my smaller brush. As soon as I start adding these lighter tones right on top of everything I just did, yeah, this isn't gonna work. I'm gonna, first one more try. Lavender plus white is going on my brush. Lavender plus white, because I know if I use more water, like I did for the dark tones, if I start putting more water on my brush for the light tones, they're just going to take on that darkness underneath. So I need my light tones to have more concentration to them. So that's where I might not have enough control. Yeah, I don't have enough control with this brush to get the light ones on. So the dark ones were fine because I could add water, which allowed me to pull and keep thin lines. But because I need that opacity in my light lines, I can't, my big brush is not working. So here we go. We're going to have patience with small lines. I'm going to go lavender with white on my brush and maybe a little bit of water, but not a lot. And now we're going to just start. I definitely feel as though, just looking to see where I want to kind of tackle this. Maybe over in through here. Kind of start in through here. And if you feel as though you want to thin out the paint a little bit, you certainly can. I'm probably just gonna work my way towards lighter and lighter tones, but right now I'm using my lavender and white in order to get some nice kind of singular pieces in through here, all the while knowing that this does appear to be kind of, hold the thought, I'm going light blue plus my white. This does appear to be kind of a chaotic kind of display of these little pieces. I'm not quite sure, and lavender. So any combination of lavender, light blue, white. I've got a bunch in through here. I don't know if I'm going to have the patience for for these little lines. I might have to go back to my other brush. And this is, again, another thing that we discover as our own painters. Where's your pleasure zone? Mine is, I like to paint kind of fast because I feel the energy. I feel that I enjoy just being like, oh, let me paint. When it comes time to these singular, let's just paint one piece of grass at a time, I don't always have the patience for this. So that's when you find your comfort zone. Right now I'm using my lavender plus a little bit of white to get a lot on top of this this kind of peachy area, and in through here maybe some of my light blue plus a little bit of white. Once I get a rhythm, like right now I feel like I'm almost finding a rhythm, I become more in a more pleasurable place. But when I start out, it's like, oh, I don't want to paint one line at a time. But if you can find your rhythm with the right brush, or that's why I like my big brushes, because I can really just cruise and I find that perfect the perfect viscosity of the paint, with it being, you know, thinner or thicker down in through here. I want, you know, I was saying when I was using my bigger brush that I needed better opacity in the lighter colors, which I certainly do. But right now, the speed is what's gonna make me happier. So I am adding more fluid to my paint, and I can just layer on those additional pieces if these become too transparent. So I just wasn't able to mentally kind of push past the slowness of doing one line slowly at a time. So for me, just adding the fluidity to my paint will allow me to work faster, or let my hand work faster, because that's, for me, I kind of would rather my hand control what's happening. And I feel sometimes when I slow down for those perfect marks, that it becomes a little bit too on purpose looking, or I don't know if that's the right word. I'm gonna now pick up a little bit of white and peach that I didn't say I was going to use. So white and peach is going to make me another highlight kind of color here. White and peach, and I feel as though I can add maybe a couple little sunshine pieces in through here. So, you know, going through a painting like this and discovering where you where your hand likes to be, where your head likes to be, it's all part of the process. It's part of discovering where your joy lies. Oh yeah, my joy lies when after I work for a while talking to you guys and put my head back and I'm like, oh my God, that looks so pretty. I like those colors. So that, and if I had been sitting here kind of struggling with every single line and not enjoying, you know, like right now I'm having so much fun with these lines, and just finding a way to get them to go in front of my bird's face. In the photo, there's these little tiny ones just right in front of the face. I love them, and I was like scared of them. But you know, I got my groove right now, so I'm not scared anymore. And that's, you know, I'm going to put one right in front of that beak. Why not? I see it in the photo. Let's go for it. You know, and when you're not scared, and when you've got your groove, it's so much fun. You know. I don't know how much more I want to do. Every time I stick my head back, I like it even more. So it looks super soft. It looks like it's got some fun, fluffy stuff to it. It doesn't look exactly like the photo, I can tell you that. But it certainly has some very fun pieces that are exciting me to look at. So, and exciting me that I just painted them, and you know, the process to this grassy stuff that I was a little, I don't want to call it intimidated, but definitely not my thing that I hope and desire to paint every single day. But I think it looks super cool, and I'm excited for it. So I think that's it. I'm going to be using my small brush for the next, well, see, I had to go and put that last line on there, huh? I'm going to be using this small brush for the next step. So once you've got your grass or this flower wherever you want it, you can wash and dry this small brush and get ready for the next step. All right, so we are on to the final step. This is the final step of every painting, which is to sign it. So I typically sign mine in the lower left or the lower right. I'm going to be using my small round. I'm going to sign it in the lower left with, I think I'm just going to go brown paint, or whatever brown paint I have left on my palette here. I like to sign mine with my initials, but you of course can sign yours however you want. You can sign yours with your full name. You can make up a fun symbol. You can sign it on the back. You can hide it within the painting. It's up to you however you want to identify your painting, because that's, again, another important decision in the world of painting that you get to make all on your own. And that is going to conclude this painting. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you learned some stuff about out of focus paintings and little cute birds. And I look forward to painting and sipping with you again sometime.